The Our Gang series, also known as the Little Rascals, first appeared on September 10th, 1922, starting with the short film One Terrible Day. As for the reason as to why more people call it the Little Rascals and not Our Gang, is because it didn't appear on TV until 1955, and it went under the title Little Rascals. The show was full of kids of different social classes and different races. Sure, by modern standards that's no big deal, but roughly 100 years ago that was almost unheard of. The kids for the most part pretty much all got along with one another. The show felt like it was made by kids for kids. However, most people who are aware of the Little Rascals mostly think of the 1994 film, often called the newer version by people who grew up with the original TV show. Yeah, it's kind of weird to me that something is referred to as new, even though it's even older than I am. On April 1st, 2014, a sequel was made, and honestly, it's pretty bad. It's very appropriate that this movie came out on April 1st because it feels like an April Fool's joke. But we're not here to talk about the old short films or the terrible sequel, we're just here to talk about the 1994 movie. The film had a budget of $23 million. Adjusted for inflation, that comes out to, I don't know, about $40 billion. In all seriousness, yeah, this is a pretty low budget movie. Honestly, a group of YouTubers could easily make a movie like this with 1/10 of the budget. So don't expect a lot of explosions and big CGI battles in this movie. Oh, and there's a lot of child actors in this movie. Aside from Macaulay Culkin, you're pretty much gonna recognize none of them. Now, child actors, of course, can be very hit or miss.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
You do it then if you're so clever.
However, the child actors feel very natural in this movie. For the most part, it doesn't feel like they're reading off a script. They honestly act like, well, kids. Kids with way too much free time on their hands, but kids nonetheless. Yeah, I understand kids have a lot of freedom, but I swear they never go to school in this movie. The film opens up with an actor who is unfortunately no longer with us. I'm of course talking about the dog. Spanky, played by Travis Tedford, attaches a letter to the dog. The dog runs with the letter, and honestly, this has to be some of the most 90s music I've ever heard in my life. Now, I know what some of you younger people in my audience are wondering. Before texting was a thing, did kids really send each other letters using a dog? Well, the answer is yes. The dog's name is Petey, by the way, and yes, his name does kind of sound like P. Diddy.
Like, imagine if Diddy Kong over there was just minding his own business for decades, and bam, some other guy named Diddy got arrested for some kind of super serious crime, and the name Diddy was tainted forever, and everyone would always associate Diddy with that other guy? That'd be nuts.
The letter is to inform all the kids around the neighborhood about the secret meeting at the Clubhouse. Yeah, this is what kids used to do before Discord was a thing. There's Black Kid with a hat that's way too big for him, played by Gary Coleman. Kid who sounds like a little goblin, played by Jordan Warcol. Porky and Buckwheat, played by, honestly, who cares? Okay, I'm gonna be perfectly honest here. I actually used to think Buckwheat was a girl. No, I don't know why I thought that. Maybe it was because of the long hair. Also, before you ask, no, I do not know why his name is Porky. He's not fat. Even by 1994 standards, he's not fat. I don't know why you would give a kid like this the nickname Porky, but it's whatever. Wow, that effect with the fish hook seemed totally natural.
I'm fucking trying!
This, of course, leads to the both of them nearly pulling the other in the water. Now, I do not know how they immediately don't fall in as soon as they're leaning over the side. Like, the other person is pulling on the fish hook. There's nothing pulling them back up. There's only one logical explanation I can come to. This entire movie takes place within a simulation, kind of like The Matrix. You know that move in The Matrix where Neo leans back super far, up to the point where there's no way a human can naturally pull themselves back up? These kids are doing exactly that, but in reverse. So clearly they know that this isn't the real world, and they need to find a way out. Or maybe this is just a gag for a kids movie that I'm looking way too deeply into.
No. What's it say? We gotta learn to read.
Okay, that joke is kind of funny, but it does make me wonder, how did they know where to show up if they couldn't read the note? The kids all meet up at their clubhouse, and for some reason one of them is a monkey.
Monkey!
Now, is it just me, or is he kind of like the monkey from Pirates of the Caribbean? In fact, I think that might be the same actor. Spying on their clubhouse are two bullies, a kid who wears his hat backwards, and a ginger.
You don't know me. You're not God.
Now, for some reason, they're afraid of these bullies, even though they outnumbered them 12 to 1. Now, why do the bullies hate these kids? Well, I guess it's just because. We're never really given a reason, and we don't really need one. Now, the name of the kids' club is, honestly, the most spaced and red-pilled thing I've ever seen in my life. He-Man Woman Haters Club. Oh my god, this film is the origin story of Sneeko and Andrew Tate. Also, I love the He-Man reference.
All raise your right hand. Your other right hand.
Oh my god, each and every single one of these kids suffers from dyslexia. It wasn't just Buckwheat and Porky, it was all of them. None of them could actually read the note. They just all knew to show up.
You solemnly swear to be a He-Man and hate women and not play with them or talk to them unless I have to. And especially never fall in love. And if I do, man, I die slowly and painfully and suffer for hours or until I scream bloody murder.
Honestly, this kid would really make it far in the manosphere. Yeah, this is kind of the whole reason as to why I'm reviewing this movie. The main message of this movie is that boys and girls can get along. They just need to put their bigotry to the side. I saw this movie when I was a wee little robot, and I noticed that a lot of boys and girls didn't really get along with one another. But I knew deep down in my hard drive that as they grew older, they would get along with one another, and this whole stupid gender war would be over once and for all. As you can clearly see, that did not happen. The gender war just seems to be everywhere nowadays. Honestly, this movie was kind of my introduction to the concept of the gender war. If anything, this movie is probably more relevant now than it ever has been before.
You thinking what I'm thinking, William?
Yeah, Butch. What are we thinking? How much fun it's gonna be to stop those guys in the race.
Yeah, let's just talk about our evil plan for no reason right in front of their clubhouse. That way the audience will know what's going on. This is totally how real people talk. The boys tell stories about how women make their lives miserable, and of course their all minor inconveniences.
This morning my sister left the toilet seat down. Women make men miserable.
This is why this movie feels like it was made for kids by kids. Granted, some of those stories are a bit confusing.
There's this girl who moved in across the street, and she came over because she wanted to play. But don't worry, I got back in her.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
I whipped out my lizard.
Okay, was this like a thing between the 1920s and the 90s? Oh no, I don't want to hang out with that girl. I got it. I'll use a lizard I picked up from my backyard. That will totally work on her. Nowadays, if you show a little girl a lizard, the first thing out of her mouth is, "Can I have my iPhone back now?"
Let's talk about the pride of our club, the Blur. The Blur has never been beaten since the beginning of time. By years.
That is so something a kid would say. But yeah, this is the main plot device for the movie. There's a big race coming up, and of course, all the kids in town want to win it. Out of anything I probably begged for the most as a kid, it was to be a go-kart racer. Of course, that never happened, and I'm too scared to become a race car driver as an adult. So this is one dream of mine that I'll never have fulfilled.
A driver should be a man who's all He-Man.
A He-Man so manly that if he fell off a building, he'd go out of his way to land on a girl.
And when they land on the girl, they'll be dabbing the whole way down. You know what we need in real life? A group of trolls who constantly go after women, and they call themselves the He-Man Woman Haters Club. I mean, obviously I'm joking. No. Don't do that. The person they pick to drive the Blur is Alfalfa, but he's not after meeting. Instead, he's spending time with a girl. Yeah, he's the type of guy to reply with chicks before dicks if you told him bros before hoes. He's our main character, and he's mostly iconic for his big cowlick. Yeah, trust me, I know it looks distracting, but you get used to it pretty quickly. By the way, there's music in this movie, and it absolutely will make your eardrums bleed.
Everything I hope for. You're everything I need.
I can't tell you how many times he caused me this short circuit. The girl he's into goes by the name Darla, and he's using his skibbity riz on her. Unfortunately, she asks about his criminal history. God, I hate it when women do that.
Then how can you belong to that silly woman haters club? You know, I'm a woman. Sort of.
Darla, at your age, you would not be considered a woman in any country. Alfalfa tells her that he's not like the other guys.
I'm in touch with my feminine side.
Gay!
Unfortunately for him, they're eavesdropping on his conversation. Darla asks if she can be taken on a picnic in Alfalfa's clubhouse. It's swimming day tomorrow, so the kids won't be in the club, so he agrees to take her there. Unfortunately for him, the club is listening in on his conversation. Okay, I'm really sorry that my mind is going here, but was that a boner joke? This joke completely flew over my head as a kid. But now that I'm an adult watching this, I have to be honest, it's a little bit creepy. Hopefully that will be the last creepy thing involving kids in this movie. The two bullies have built their own golf cart, and it immediately falls apart. This causes them to take out their anger on Alfalfa. They chase after him, and, this happens. So I guess they chased him into a place that spray paints cars and they got paint all over them, and for some reason this caused them to stop running, I guess? Yeah, there's one thing I need to make clear about this movie, and that's it's a bit of a cartoon. Sure, the movie is entirely done in live action, but some parts feel a bit Looney Tunes-y. Just look at the imprints of their bodies on the van. That's something that would not be out of place in a Looney Tunes cartoon. Alfalfa meets up with Darla, but then he's attacked by a dog. The dog belongs to Macaulay Culkin. I'm not gonna lie, I thought Spanky's dog and this dog were gonna fight in the movie, but that never happens. Macaulay Culkin is a villain of the movie, because apparently the bullies weren't enough. He starts using his skibbity riz on Darla, proving that he's an alpha male Sigma Chad.
You have the sophistication of a woman of 12.
But Alfalfa ain't gonna take a shit lying down.
I'm Alfalfa.
Yes, I'm sure you are. My father bought the oil refinery.
That explains why you're so refined. Yeah, and so oily.
Watch it, bud.
Alfalfa goes on his date with Darla. Unfortunately for him, the Woman Haters Club starts pranking him. Unfortunately for them, the love Alfalfa and Darla feel for one another is too strong for their trolling. This causes the He-Man Woman Haters to start knocking on the door. Alfalfa then acts like a straight man dating a trans girl.
Do you want to go in there? Just as I thought, you are ashamed of me. I'm not ashamed of you. I'm proud of you. Open up. I just don't want anybody to see you.
A fire starts, and of course, all the kids have mini firefighter outfits on standby. As cartoonishly comedic as this is, I'm just wondering as to why they have to have firefighter outfits. Like, this really makes me question how many times their clubhouse caught on fire. We get some comedic scenes like the boys trying to put out the fire with water balloons, the dog helping by peeing on the fire, and of course, Buckwheat and Porky not knowing the number for 911. I gotta say I'm a little bit concerned for the dog's well-being. He's peeing in a very bizarre way. Honestly, the effects artists even try. Should we make it look like a constant yellow stream? No, make it look like a bunch of water splashing out. Eventually, Spanky gets a fire hose, and it's so powerful that it causes him to float in the air. This was the moment I asked myself, this might as well be animated. The clubhouse couldn't be saved, and Darla breaks up with Alfalfa. Like most women, she leaves him for a rich boy. It really hits Alfalfa that he lost his clubhouse, he lost his friends, and he lost his girl.
I never knew liking a girl could lead to all this.
If I had $1 for every man who said that, I would be a rich man.
If you can. I just want to ask him if you've always been shitting your pants.
No.
Because since I've known you, you've always had, like, IBS. You've always been shitting yourself.
The boys decide to execute Alfalfa, but then they lower his sentence to just watching over the go-kart at night. His dad is okay with this, apparently. They also tell him he can't contact, talk to, or even think about Darla anymore.
And I'm making it my own personal business to see that you don't.
God, Spanky's such a great pal. He's making sure his friend doesn't ruin his life over a woman. Alfalfa has a dream that he's in a Scottish kingdom, and he has to choose between his friends and Darla. Honestly, dude, I think she already made that choice for you. She already left. In his dream, his friends and Darla push him to his death, causing him to wake up. His friends are all with him, and they're trolling the fuck out of him.
Don't worry, Alfalfa. I used to have the same problem. This just the hole in the tent.
Honestly, those two bullies don't seem so bad anymore. They're all here to make sure that he's still a member of the Brain Cell subreddit.
Jimmy, go to the Brain Cell subreddit. It'll really change, but it'll explain why Cindy doesn't love you. It's because you're a sub-8 male.
They all tell him that Darla doesn't love him because he's a new male. But Alfalfa is not the only one getting blackpilled, because Darla's friends are also a bunch of future feminists with dyed hair. I think we also get a cameo from the Balson twins. When did this movie come out again? It's 30 years later, and instead of kids talking like this, it's adults.
Girls get along with each other. Boys stand up for themselves. Girls care. Boys take what's theirs. Boys won't listen.
All they want to do is talk.
They like to moon ya. No, we don't.
This is the reason why I think this movie is more relevant than it ever has been before. The gender divide just seems like it's growing faster and faster. And these kids are talking exactly like, well, let's be honest here, a lot of people we know. Oh yeah, I should probably mention that throughout this scene, lightning constantly strikes and it causes the kids to scream. It's extremely annoying and I even like it as a kid. The kids try to buy lumber in order to rebuild their clubhouse. Unfortunately, they come up short. So the kids try to get a loan by dressing up as Jewish stereotypes. Oh my god, this completely flew over my head as a kid. 10 years ago I would tell you just how offensive this is, but apparently we're allowed to hate on Jews now, thanks. Alfalfa writes a love note to Darla. He tells Porky and Buckwheat that it's actually a hate note. After all, they can't read, so they'll believe what he says. Porky accidentally sneezes on the note, destroying it. So Buckwheat recites the hate note that he remembers Alfalfa saying. Not gonna lie, it's a pretty clever joke. Spanky takes Alfalfa to Darla's ballet recital, so he will dump her once and for all. Even though she already broke up with him, so this just seems a little bit unnecessary. The two bullies, even though they're bigger and stronger, decide to distract Buckwheat and Porky by attaching a dollar to a duck. Okay, if this movie takes place in the 1930s, that dollar is worth about $100 in today's money. If it takes place in the 90s, the note's worth about $5. Yeah, I don't think the bullies were smart wasting this dollar. They should have just beat the shit out of Porky and Buckwheat. But Porky and Buckwheat left a booby trap behind. It's a Rube Goldberg machine that launches pickles at the bullies. If you're wondering as to how this prevented them from stealing the go-kart, good for you! Spanky gives Alfalfa a rare Pepe, but then Butch and William, the two bullies, show up and chase them. Spanky and Alfalfa disguise themselves as women. Yeah, so, this is where the movie gets kind of weird. As a kid, I thought Boy in a Tutu was the funniest shit ever, but now that I'm an adult, I think one of the writers might have been a little bit sus. Oh, come on, Jar, it's just two little boys dressed up as ballerina dancers. I don't see the harm in this. Oh, trust me, it's about to get a lot more creepy. The two bullies get thrown out, and Alfalfa finally runs into Darla. Yeah, apparently she doesn't recognize her own ex-boyfriend.
Are you a fairy? No,
Really? A gay joke? God, I miss the 90s sometimes. He gets Darla's hanky and she reveals that she loves his voice. Honestly, Darla, I've heard his singing. It's really not that great. Right before they leave, they're brought on to dance. And for some reason, Spanky puts the frog in Alfalfa's crotch. Depending on who you ask, some people find this scene charming, others find it funny, and a handful of people find it a little bit creepy. But then we get to the most questionable part of the movie where Alfalfa's running around in his underwear. Yeah, apparently this was necessary. Don't get me wrong, as a kid I thought this was absolutely hilarious. But now that I'm an adult watching this movie, I gotta be honest, it would be really awkward if someone walked in on me watching this part. Alfalfa gets chased by the bullies, he gets chased by a dog, he gets away by swimming. Unfortunately, he loses his underwear and it turns into plastic when it's in the water. No, I don't get it either. This happens at a country club, right in front of Darla and her new boyfriend. Wow, that's pretty embarrassing, but I do have one question. How did she get here so fast? He left the ballerina recital before she did, and he was running. She left after him, changed into her bathing suit, and went swimming all before he showed up.
Well, you got me. by all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
The dog chases him for the last time in the movie, and we never see it again. I'm gonna be honest here, he really should have fought the other dog. They were building this up so much. The kids go to the fair to scam some people out of money, and honestly, this might be my favorite joke in the movie.
Step right up and witness this hideous mutant. Amazing, incredible, 4-foot man-eating chicken.
I get it!
Shut it, Nappa. Alfalfa finds a list of prank items Spanky used on him, and now he knows that his best friend tried to come between him and his girl. The boys manage to scam a few people out of some money. Unfortunately for Spanky, he's caught by Mrs. Cramshee. I believe I'm pronouncing her name right. I think she's a character from the original Little Rascals, but I'm not sure. Oh wait, I looked it up, she is, and her name is pronounced Crabtree. What an absolutely beautiful last name. She's about to take the money away, but Spanky, the little shit, convinces her to use the money as a prize for the winner of the go-kart derby. Of course, his little club has a super fast car, so he's pretty sure they'll win. Macaulay Culkin is singing a duet with Darla, and he absolutely proves that he's a way better singer than Alfalfa.
This very, very extraordinary now.
The blur is stolen by the two bullies. Alfalfa tries to sing, but he's sabotaged by Macaulay Culkin. Apparently, he brought over his skills from Home Alone. I don't know how making someone sing Bubbles and fly in the air is ruining their act, but apparently it does somehow.
Oh, I hate you, Alfalfa.
It should also be noted that Alfalfa is acting kind of creepy. He really can't get over the fact that Darla broke up with him. Now granted, he knows it's not his fault for Darla breaking up with him. It was his best friend sabotaging his date, leading Darla into believing that he was pranking her. But she doesn't know that, and from her perspective, he seems very, very creepy. Up to the point that if this movie was told from her perspective, he would probably be the villain. The boys learn that the blur was stolen, and Spanky and Alfalfa tell one another that they're no longer friends. The other boys try to make them become friends again.
You're a team, like Bert and Ernie, Superman and Clark Kent, Millie and Vanilli.
I saw this movie when I was 4, and even I knew that Clark Kent and Superman weren't a team. They're the same person, what the hell? At least some of the kids should know this, and none of them told the writer, hey, you know Clark Kent and Superman aren't a team, right? I think you should replace them with Batman and Robin. Boy, I sure hope someone got fired for that blunder. This goes on for about 5 minutes, and of course they become friends again. Scenes like this do nothing but pad out the movie, I swear.
I'm sorry I called you a
Stupid Alfalfa finally spills the beans and reveals that he's not actually gay.
You know, Spanky, I like girls.
The boys all get together and decide that they're just gonna build a go-kart. Yep, just like 80s kids, 90s kids were also all geniuses somehow. Now if you're wondering how these kids got so smart, believe it or not, this is just average intelligence for a child. Back then, TikTok and Skibbity Toilet weren't invented yet. The kids finish their new go-kart. The bullies have an evil, edgier version of the blur. And Macaulay Culkin has this futuristic, advanced go-kart. They're all ready to race, but first we get a very interesting cameo.
Hi, Dad, it's me. You're gonna be so proud of me. I'm gonna win this race.
Waldo, you're the best son money can buy.
Honestly, that is something Trump would say. It also has hit me that I watched this movie so many times as a kid, and I didn't realize that the future president of America was in this movie. Honestly, back then, I don't think any of us expected him to become president. Now, if you're wondering as to why Trump is cameoing in this movie, back in the mid-90s, he was going through some financial problems, so he had to cameo in things to make up a little extra cash.
What are you doing with that? It's Darla's handkerchief. All great knights ride into battle, wearing the colors of their lady fair. I'm not hearing this. I'm not hearing this.
Okay, on the one hand, she could be looking at him like, oh my god, he disguised himself as a ballerina dancer? Or she could be looking at him like, oh my god, so that one ugly girl actually got to be with Alfalfa, and she gave him my hanky? Him being with other women makes me want him even more for some reason, but I don't know why. We also get a cameo from Whoopi Goldberg. Apparently, she's Buckwheat's mom. She's sitting near Trump, so I bet she's thinking to herself, God, I can't wait to make fun of him on The View in about 20 years. We get to the big climactic final race, and honestly, it's awesome. I can't think of another movie that does a better go-kart race than this one. The different go-kart designs really really show where a lot of this movie's budget went. Both the bullies and Macaulay Culkin have weapons built into their vehicle. It's kind of like a more G-rated version of Ben-Hur. But the race is not only action-packed, it's also funny as well. The kids go off course and run over pedestrians. The kids have nitro on their go-karts because, of course they do. Unfortunately for the bullies, their nitro backfires. Literally.
You idiot! You put them in backwards!
The bullies attach a flare to Alfalfa's go-kart, blinding him. But Macaulay Culkin has a change of heart and saves him. They win the race literally by a hair, and Alfalfa uses his Ultra Instinct to beat up the two bullies.
I'm usually a lover, not a fighter, but in your case, I'm willing to make an exception.
And it's revealed that it wasn't Macaulay Culkin who saved them, it was Darla.
Girl!
Darla gets back together with Alfalfa. Spanky admits to pranking them. The clubhouse is rebuilt. All the boys end up with female versions of themselves.
You like dolls?
Okay, maybe a few of them didn't end up with female versions of themselves. Even the monkey gets someone to monkey around with. They also have the blur back, even though their new car is technically faster. We get some bloopers at the very end. Yeah, that was something 90s movies did a lot. Kind of like how 2000 movies always ended with a pop song. But there was one blooper scene that always made me scratch my head as a kid. We actually see the two bullies get the pickles poured on them. For some reason, this was cut out of the actual movie, and I'm lost as to why. And that was Little Rascals. Honestly, it's an enjoyable movie. It has a lot of pacing problems, there are several scenes that are just there to pad out the movie, and some parts seem a bit creepy. But all the stuff surrounding gender, yeah, it's more relevant than it ever has been before. 30 years later, and I think this movie still has something to teach us, even though it's just a generic kids movie. All the actors met up 30 years later to take the famous photo on the cover. Wow, that dog hasn't aged a day. Yeah, that dog still should have been dead by then. The next review will be for Everyone's Hero. And after that, I'm going to review several movies that involve robots. I would like to increase the budget of these videos, so if you can find it in your heart to donate to me on Patreon, that would be a huge help. Anyways, let's get to the credits.